Plenty of young fans here. Once they can work out how to open their chairs, they'll take their seats and enjoy every little bit of it. But we do have some breaking news, and it's a little disappointing too, because Jack Perkins, of course, a man with such experience and such passion and love for this new category, he will not take
what a shame
to the grid for this one. So a transmission fluid.
Look at these fellas here. Can we do a bit of that? Get a deck chair and, you know, or a camping chair, I should say. Sit outside. All right, here is the field of play. Brilliant place this, 4.4 Ks in length. We know that in 2027, its status on the MotoGP calendar will change, but we're here for four-wheel reasons. And you know what? The showcase that we have brought with the Shannon Speed Series, Shannon celebrating 19 years with this championship. It's a perfect place for it. All the different classes that we've got, and it's wonderful that we are bringing you the debut round of this class. For people that follow motor racing closely, you may remember that this class was, of course, in action at Le Mans last year. We saw Cam Mloud over there with the late Tim Miles, among others. So we've got a very special guest who's about to join us in commentary for this one, and he knows these cars, he knows this class of racing, and he's literally stepped out of a GT4 machine and ditched the race suit, ditched the helmet. But it's fantastic to have Sam Paley here with us, mate. Welcome. How have you enjoyed the weekend so far?
Yeah, it's great to be here. The weekend's been a lot of fun. First full weekend here in Australia, so a little bit out of breath. I just stood on the podium about 2 minutes ago. I'm getting shuffled
through
around.
2 sets of stairs at you, so yes.
Throw the suit off, jogged over here to make the start of this Mustang Cup race, and I'm sure we're going to have a great show in front of us.
Thank you very much for doing that for us. Quickly, you've got your own team as well. I mean, you are, for a young man, not just immersed in your own kind of racing career and what you're doing. He's catching his breath. We've got a little bit of air conditioning in the comm box here. We'll give him a breather. Let's have a look at the starting grid here for you. So Aaron Cameron picked up this morning, because we have 2 races across the weekend, but we also have 2 specific qualifying sessions. So Aaron Cameron's been able to go back-to-back from a qualifying perspective, and for Gary Rogers Motorsport takes pole position for race 2, just as he did for race 1. The different story is that Mloud was a little further back in the opening race. He's on the front row for this one, Stubbsy, and really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Absolutely. He wasn't all that happy with how things played out for him yesterday. Of course, those couple of wins, though, in Le Mans means that he is one of the absolute front runners, no doubt about that. Moffat is there in a beautiful livery, paying tribute to his late father, James Golding. Josh Anderson, that's a great result for him, the best of our junior category members. Tyler Everingham there, Joe Fawcett, who was the fastest of the juniors yesterday, and on we go. So we're all getting ready for our formation start, Rusty.
They're all at the Dark Horse R. Really cool car. The sound that it makes from that amazing 5-litre V8 just echoes all the way around the coastline here at Phillip Island. So they're all bunched up. Lights are out on the Mustang safety car, and Motorcraft, who've been the OEM parts supplier for the Ford Motor Company for 50 years, the backer of this series. First time in Australia. What a splash we've made in terms of the volume of cars, and the talk, the chat, the interest in it as well is tremendous. Can Cameron go back-to-back? What does Mloud have in store? Has James Moffat built on the learnings of yesterday, admittedly in very different conditions? And Jimmy Golding, he's been a star, hasn't he, in recent time in supercars, grabbing a podium at Mount Panorama Bathurst last year, very nearly a race win at one point, depending upon your view on how things ultimately played out. Great star of the sport. And here we go. Oh, look at this.
Oh, yeah. We're racing, and we're not even racing.
We're about to go green here. Cameron and Mloud, who will get the jump? Second race ever in the new history of Motorcraft Mustang Cup in Australia. Wait for them to unleash the cars. They're bunched up nicely here at Phillip Island on a glorious day. Moffat gets a nice jump in that red number 9, and he's right on the tail. He moves to the outside as they run down to turn 1 for the first time from a defensive standpoint. Which way do they go? Look at the damage to the bodywork. Is that from the little touch, the little contact going through the final corner between those two?
Oh! Moffat and Cam Mloud contact on the run into Southern Loop. They've managed to keep it together. This is fast action at the front. It's Cameron and Mloud. It's Aaron Cameron at the moment. Lost the wheels there. Moffat on the exit of Southern Loop as we head down into Miller Corner for the first time. Going defensive is Cameron. Mloud having a look around the outside, but he'll have to concede. Tuck in for the run to Siberia. Look at that bodywork, Rusty, on Aaron Cameron's car. Mloud having a bit of a look around the outside, trying to get the run.
Mloud is fired up today, isn't he? Had a difficult run in GT4, gets out of Siberia nicely, not quite up close enough yet, but he's threatening, he's looming. They're nearly side by side, the pair of them, as they come through there. He's got it done. I didn't think that was possible. He's got it done. Can Cameron hang in with him as they go over Lukey Heights? Remember, things are still cold, not necessarily at the ideal pressures and temperatures. You can hear him right at the limit at MG Corner. Moffat is back in the game now. He's making a play for second place. Aaron Cameron might get... Does he get shuffled back to third? So Moffat to second, Mloud leads the way. We'll gather our thoughts and our breath here, and that's exactly what Serv's done. So tell us about this class, and I mean, we're so new to it in Australia. We're thoroughly excited about it, and it offers a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just great racing. It's such a great race car, and you know, you don't have any aero, you don't have many assists as a driver, so it's truly a driver's car. And you know, speaking to Cam Mloud today and yesterday, he was very, very unhappy with the performance yesterday. So clearly he's looking to rectify that today, and very, very strong out of the gate. Obviously, he's a double race winner in this car at Le Mans, so he's got a ton of speed. And right on the jump, he was on Aaron there with a great move. I actually had a very, very similar move around the outside of turn 8 yesterday in GT4, and it's difficult, but you can get it done. If you get the presentation there on the left-hand side, you get the inside up the hill, and what a move, what a race start, and what a series we have here in Australia now. It's just awesome racing, and it's action-packed.
Have you enjoyed Phillip Island?
Oh, it's such a fun track. I mean, so fast, a lot of commitment corners, have to have a lot of confidence in the car, and when you get a lap right here, it's so rewarding. You know, it's such a track of flow, and have to stay low, have to stay tight, have to hit your apexes and really carry a lot of speed. So it's a lot of fun for us drivers in the car, and definitely one of my favorites in the entire world.
Sam, have you been surprised by the passion for the Mustang here in Australia? It's an iconic American sports car, but it's the best-selling sports car in Australia too, and to see this grid here and the amount of interest in this category shows its global attraction.
Yeah, it's great to see. You know, I didn't really truly understand the passion for Ford racing and for the Mustang here in Australia until I got over here, but everyone around Phillip Island is excited to watch this race. Everyone in the paddock has been asking questions about this new series and this car, so already a fan favorite, first weekend here. I think something I love about these cars is you have those screaming V8 Coyote motors, and as we evolve in our world today, that's rare, right? You get the elements of a race car, you get the sound. They're the loudest cars at the racetrack. You know, you get the smells, so the elements are all there, and it's just such a great package. And you know, we still have a manual transmission in this Dark Horse car, which is quite rare for modern day race cars, and that's a lot of fun as a driver. You know, we have the auto rev match on the way down, we have flat shift on the way up, but shifting through the gears is a lot of fun. GT4, GT3, now in supercars with the sequential transmission, it's not something you get to do as much, so I actually quite enjoy that part of the race car. It offers a bit of a extra element of skill. You know, I was talking to Aaron right before we hopped in the GT4 car, and he was talking about how he got the win at the line from just shifting that little bit quicker. So, and you know, on Golding as well, who's such a fantastic driver. So there is a little bit you can gain there, and you have to be so precise on those shifts to be able to gain the time. And I like the fact that there's another potential skill gap or gain depending on how experienced you are in the car.
You see memes on social media now where people talk about H-pattern and old school stick shift like that as being almost like an anti-theft device, because there's a whole generation that don't really know or appreciate that. And as a young man, I'm thrilled that you are, mate, because it's old school, really cool, and it's terrific that this class has embraced that and kept that.
Well, it's such a great transmission as well. You know, a lot of H patterns can be quite difficult, and the tracks aren't as defined as you'd like them to be. But this, if you watch any onboards that have been posted from either Cam or Aaron or whoever it may be, it's almost effortless that they shift through the gears. So it's one of my favorite manual cars we've ever driven, probably actually the favorite. And that auto rev match is so satisfying on the way down. And, you know, it is just such a rewarding car to drive because it's all driver.
If you're just joining us, you're watching Motorcraft Mustang Cup as a part of the Shannon Speed Series live here at Phillip Island. A 40-minute race. Cameron Mloud, the 21-year-old, leads the way. He's a Ford Racing Development inductee, a driver that is a part of their program. And as Sam detailed there a moment ago, really came to the attention very much with his performance at Le Mans last year in this very car. In fact, he was the 15th driver to be confirmed as a part of this series, and only in recent days. But what a great addition, Stubbsy.
Yeah, absolutely, and shout out to Josh Anderson, currently in 6th position. So we have some different classes in the structure of the Motorcraft Mustang Cup. You can see the blue boxes for Dunn and Kasuki, so they're our legends drivers for the other side of 40, shall we say, and for our 21 and younger, they are our juniors, our dark horse juniors, and they can win the champion a trip to the Ford Racing Technical Centre in Concord, North Carolina. Sam, a place you would know well, and you can get to hang out to do some testing and hang out with some Ford Racing factory drivers. So that's a cool carrot for these juniors, isn't it?
And the Ford Racing Technical Center now in Concord, North Carolina is such a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, the equipment, the sims, the technology that we have in that building is such a fantastic tool for you as a driver. You know, my first time in Australia was 2 weeks ago when we were testing with Wallace Motorsport at the Bend and at Phillip Island, and I was going to the sim to help prepare me for this trip, and it definitely aids the preparation. And you know, when you're a young driver, when you're in the Dark Horse Juniors class or even in the Dark Horse class, you're always looking for those extra ways to get ahead and to keep evolving while you're in the race car. And the Tech Center in Concord, North Carolina is just the pinnacle of that. So such a great tool that we have as development drivers and that Ford Racing has. And it's pretty cool because when you go there, you know, you see all the NASCAR drivers, you see a lot of the GT3 drivers. So we've definitely built a camaraderie across different disciplines within the Ford Racing camp. And honestly, that's pretty special as a driver to know people all across the world racing all different types of machinery.
It's nice that you've been in Australia for a little bit and able to do that. Dramas here for Imogen Radburn, who was running in an excellent 9th place. So not sure what's happened there. I think is that outside Siberia maybe that she's pulled off the exit there. We'll just confirm where that is for you. I think it's out of Siberia on the run up toward Lukey Heights. So we'll try and find out. All-female crew on that. We have a look at the Wade Motorsport replay. So here you go. Out of Siberia. Is the car already starting to slow at this point? I think it is.
Yeah, that's such a shame. The all-female organisation, so much interest. We spoke in qualifying earlier today that there's 20 young females as part of an application program to get a role within that team that are here today. 70 applications overall, so huge interest in what Imogen has put together there, running that team. So that's a real shame. They've had a great weekend and so much support for that team. And also, if you can see Jack Perkins' name, if you missed it at the start, a transmission issue for him. So unfortunately, Jack not able to take part in Earl Evans' Mustang Dark Horse R, but we look forward to hopefully seeing Jack back on track again soon. And there's his great mate James Moffat in the red livery. But we talk about the Ford Racing Development driver, Cam Mloud, our race leader, is one of those drivers, the first Australian to have that position. So he's out in front at the moment, but that's a moment. A real moment too. Well, that's Josh Trappett going through the grab and trap.
Let's get Sam's take on that. Just, I mean, obviously the car stepping as it came through the loop there. I mean, that's quite a quick corner, fast part of the circuit.
Yeah, one thing about this Mustang Dark Horse R is there's so much power. You know, you have a lot more horsepower in this car than even a GT4 car. So if you get on throttle a little bit too early, end up off grip there a little bit wide with too much wheel input, it's really easy for the car to come around or get one of those take slapper moments, and it looks like that's what happened there. And it's such a precision car. You know, if you just hold on to the brake for a little bit too long, now your min speed at apex a little bit too slow, and it can really motivate you to go to that early throttle. And I think that's the most difficult aspect of this car. It really doesn't like a lot of throttle commitment with a lot of wheel input, and I'd say that's probably what happened there, and just put him a little bit wide. But on the other end, did a really good job to keep it going. He easily could have got stuck in the sand trap there. So fantastic job to still be in this race.
Young Tyler Everingham, 25 years of age, is running right with James Moffat here. So nice job in the 93. And is that about to, I mean, Stubbsy was just talking about Anderson there before in 6th place. It may well become a three-way battle there with them. Just while we keep a little eye on that, Sam, like you touched before on the fact that you've been in Australia for a little bit. That's great that you've been able to enjoy that. Just tell us how that whole opportunity came about to, you know, take part in Monochrome Australia GT4.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Australia really became apparent on my radar once the Mustang Cup Australia series was announced. You know, I'm very involved in the Mustang Challenge and the Mustang Cup back in the United States. Ran Mustang Challenge in 2024 and a good bit in 2025 in addition to going to Le Mans. So I've really been a part of the platform throughout its entire inception. And just through conversations that I was having, got connected to a couple people in the GT4 Australia world and ended up with a great opportunity here with Wallace Motorsport that kind of random how it came about, but I'm in such a great position. I'm so blessed and honored to be here, and it's been a fantastic couple weeks with the Wallace Motorsport crew, with the Wallace family, and you know, Jack Wallace, 17 years old, he's doing a phenomenal job out there. This is actually the first weekend where they've got finishes in both races, so it was a big weekend for us, and looking forward to continue to evolve with them throughout the rest of the season.
Great stuff, as they say, and we hope that there's more visits in the pipeline for you. We'll get you to stick around with us. We've got 20 minutes left in this race. Let's go to Charlie.
Thanks, Rusty. Just an update on the Imogen Radburn Mustang. Unfortunately, of course, we saw that car no longer running. The team and Imogen are scratching their heads a little bit. It could be a clutch or it could be a gearbox issue. So get the car back to the paddock and investigate.
Thank you. Charlie Barlow in the pit lane for us. Race being led by Cameron McLeod by 2.1 seconds over Aaron Cameron, our race 1 winner and the driver who's had both pole positions in this class so far. James Golding in 3rd. Everybody running on the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup GT H2 tyres. And as Aaron Cameron talked about after qualifying today, this particular race we were kind of venturing into the unknown in some respects because of the damp conditions we'd had on Saturday and the kind of limited dry running over the weekend generally. So this is the first time where we're, you know, seeing what the cars are like and how wise some of these experienced drivers, the likes of Golding and Cameron, are going to be in that, you know, final 5 or 10 minutes, I guess.
How does that combination work in this class in terms of the tyre life, the durability, and how to manage that throughout a race of this duration?
Yeah, I mean, this Michelin tire is such a fantastic tire, but at the same time, these are fast, heavy race cars. We experienced a lot of degradation throughout the race, and you know, something that I think is special about this championship is you see some of the cars filter through the field a little bit. You know, the gaps get a little bit wider, and it's just managing the tire that's still under these cars, because certainly a lot of degradation does exist. So that's another element that the drivers have to manage, and adds makes it a bit more interesting.
So a great battle here at the moment. Moffat there as we head down into Miller Corner. Alongside him is Everingham on the inside, ready to pounce. In the background is Anderson. Great racing between this trio, putting on a real show for us. And Sam, these are the same cars effectively that we see roll off the production line, aren't they? Over there in the States, and just a few little bits and pieces to make them safe and that performance. But the Dark Horse are, it's a very relative car.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one of my favorite parts about this car and this platform is it's not too far from a street course. You know, in the US, we give hot laps a lot in the Dark Horse street car at the IMSA events where the Dark Horse R is competing in Mustang Challenge, and I've done it on the same weekend, and you'd be shocked how similar it is. We're almost braking at the same point, you know, with these the Brembo brakes on the Mustang Dark Horse race car. Sure, they're a little bit stronger than the street car, and they can last a little bit longer and withstand a bit hotter temperatures, but it is quite crazy how similar the race car is to the street car, and I think that's an important and cool part about the championship.
Just while we're chatting there, something has happened to James Golding. He has dropped down to 6th place. He managed to get ahead of Aaron Cameron up into 2nd spot, but we could see coming out, I think, out of MG corner there, something has happened to that car. So there's a story unfolding for for James Golding, who keeps going down the order there. And I'm hesitant to kind of question mark Aaron Cameron too. I'm not sure why he suddenly slowed and Golding was briefly ahead of him. So Aaron's back in second. Great job, Tyler Everingham, who you're watching here at the moment, who has moved ahead of James Moffat and is up into third place. So nice work. Anderson is very much in the mix here, as Chris has said. So this is a great three-way fight for the final spot in the top three. We'll try and find out. Golding has dropped to 10th now. So what has happened to Jimmy Golding? So looks from our position here in the commentary box as though he's in the lane, and the attention is on one particular side of the car. There you go. So there, if we can show you some closer pictures a bit further away from our position in the commentary box here. So we'll get Charlie and the team onto that for you. Shame for James Golding. Gary Rogers Motorsport locking out the podium, if you will, yesterday. The top three spots at the end of race one.
So out in front, it's Cam Mloud. A comfortable lead, 4 seconds ahead of Aaron Cameron. Tyler Everingham in third, Moffat there in fourth from Anderson, but under big pressure. Matt Kiss, great performance from him in the top 6. Second generation driver. He's one of our junior entrants. The father and son team love what they're putting together there. A lot of production car experience for him. This is his first national series. So what a weekend for Matt. And great young fella, was under the car when I bumped into him on Friday. So getting his hands dirty and a real great operation they've put together.
Sam, you touched on something before which I think is really cool, and that is the fact that Ford has created this pathway from Cup here that we're watching at the moment. There are all sorts of potential opportunities here for drivers right the way through to the sort of the upper end of sports car racing, aren't there?
Yeah, Ford has a ladder system unlike any other manufacturer in the world right now. They have a pyramid system that starts at the Ford Performance Racing School and Ford Performance Track Day experiences that goes into Mustang Cup in the US or Mustang Cup in Australia. We have an extra step in the US with Mustang Challenge that runs with IMSA, which is a very high-level series. Then, of course, we have the Mustang GT4, which I'd say is the natural next step from this Dark Horse R, and a lot of drivers have done really, really well with that transition. Obviously, Cam Mloud, they won on track yesterday, kind of showing the correlation between the Dark Horse R and the GT4, and drivers like Nate Cicero, Robert Noacker, even myself, we've made that transition into the Mustang GT4 car from the Dark Horse R, and I think the Dark Horse R does such a great job making that transition as easy and natural as possible. And then, of course, we have the Mustang GT3, which is racing in the Daytona 24-hour, Sebring 12-hour, the 24 hours of Le Mans. So I think Ford has created a ladder system that is almost unreplicable, and it's very cool that they can capture every level of racing, from grassroots racing into semi-professional racing into pro racing, and you know, you can follow Ford as a manufacturer onto the biggest stage. I
love that you bring up Robert Noacker as well there before. He's been to Australia before and run it at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Can we twist your arm? Would you like to go to Bathurst one day?
Oh, that would be an absolute dream. That would be an absolute dream. I wish it was on the GT4 calendar because I think that'd be a blast, but my goal is definitely to compete in the 12-hour one day. That's a bucket list item for me.
Good stuff. We're clearly on the radar of a lot of people with your performance over the weekend here in GT4. We'd love to see that happen. Golding has resumed. We'll get some clarity around what's unfolded there for Jimmy. Meantime, we continue to watch James Moffat here. We haven't done it, but we could make a blatant plug to a drinks company that was on the side of his famous father's car, and it looked exactly like this, didn't it? It'd be great to see that branding down the side of it like it was back in the day for Alan. Here we go. So the 33.
And he would have been a little motivated, I think it's fair to say, Cam Mloud, after what happened in Monochrome GT4 Australia earlier on, of course.
Definitely.
That really heavy incident for Mason Harvey, it put a real dampener on the weekend for Cam, an easy issue to have over the back there. So that perhaps would have provided him with a little bit of red mist maybe to get in, and after, as you said, Sam, yesterday, not totally happy with where he finished in this class.
Yeah, first of all, glad that Mason's okay. You know, I just met Mason recently, and obviously he has a lot of speed in that car, and that's a huge hit. And you never want to see a driver go through that. So happy to see him walk away. And something about Cam as a racing driver, he's really good at leading. You know, he doesn't feel pressure from behind. I think when you're in the car, it's always easy to chase that rabbit in front and try and chase that car down, have that target in mind. But Cam is really good at just taking control of a race and building a gap. And, you know, you saw it at the start. He was motivated to go for the lead. He wanted it, he got it, and now he's building that gap at the front.
Yeah, he's, you know, he kind of walks in that manner, doesn't he? He's got the, you know, for a 21-year-old man, young man, he's got that clear vision, that want to be the professional racing driver, doesn't he? So.
Yeah, he does. And we're just taking a look now here at Ben Dunn. So this is the battle, Kasuki and Dunn, in terms of the Dark Horse Legends class. So it's not just about the youngsters and the development and that pathway through that we've been discussing. It's also an opportunity for those with the passion at latter stages to continue their racing. Let's get down to Charlie.
Thanks, Stubbsy. Just looking at one of the rear tyres off of James Golding car to see what the issue was. The Michelin tyre technicians are telling me that it was wearing in a couple of places because it was fitted a little bit loosely, and you can see that the tyre is starting to eat itself. So that meant that James had to come back into the lane. They did have a lot of trouble getting that rear tyre off, but they seem to have been able to fit a new one, and James was, of course, back out there. But a big issue for his tyre, practically just eating itself.
Sounded like a was that a fitment issue of some not of the tyre, maybe of the rim? Was there markings on? I couldn't quite pick that. So shame. Glad that he's back out there. Michelin do an amazing job with their involvement in motor racing generally with their control tyre products, supporting of course the Michelin Sprint Challenge here in this country. Big crew of people that work on that and the control tyre that they bring here for this class. So Moffat holds down 4th place at the moment. You're watching him on track. It's a great job by Tyler Everingham, who's been able to clear these two and found a bit of breathing space. Anderson running right with Moffat, but the margin, Mloud has been able to, I mean, Sam talking about the way that he not only wanted to lead at the commencement of this race, but then the way that he just continued to gradually build using the smarts, and it's out to 3.6 seconds now.
Down into MG we go. This battle between Moffat and Anderson. What great experience for Josh, our junior, to be following a man with such great experience in James Moffat. He'll be learning all sorts of things and trying to pick a point perhaps on the track where there may be an advantage to him, or the best place to position the car to try and have a dip. What are your favourite corners so far, Sam, from your time racing in the GT4 Mustang?
You know, I've found some unconventional passing spots on this track this weekend. I really like passing around the outside of 1. I think the Mustang GT4 car has the aero and the weight to make it work.
That is brave, mate.
I actually prefer the outside to the inside. It gives you the setup into 2, and I really like Cam Mcleod's move for the lead there around the outside of 8. If you can get that over-under through Siberia and just get a little bit of outside presentation coming through 8, that gives you the inside up the hill into 9. So very difficult, of course, to ride around the outside off the grip up the hill. So unconventional passing spots, but 2 of my favorites. And then, of course, inside of turn 4, the heaviest braking zone on the track. So, you know, one challenge these drivers have on track right now is every car is the same, right? This is spec racing. So you really have to set your runs. You really have to follow the car in front very, very closely in order to give yourself an opportunity to make that move. And I think that's a very challenging thing to do. This is a big car. It's hard to keep on that bumper onto the straightaway, but that's what it takes to get a move done in this car. 40
minutes here around a real kind of demanding, tough place like Phillip Island. When we're in the final 9 minutes or so here, what things are you looking for and trying to just, you know, be mindful of if you're in, say, Cam Mcleod's position here?
Well, right now Cam Mcleod is a 3.1 second lead. Aaron Cameron's chipping away in that, and you just have to make sure you hit your apexes, you hit your marks as this tire degrades. You know, you have to keep your lap times tight. You don't want to experience a lot of volatility from your fast lap, and stay consistent. This car can be quite mistake prone. It's a very fast, moves around a lot. So making sure that you're not making mistakes is a huge part of being successful in this car, especially as you start to lose a little bit of the tire at 32 minutes into the race here.
And actually looking at some of the times and speeds, 256.3 kilometres an hour down the Gardner Straight. Actually, in the style and the aero of the cars and the performance, it's actually faster than the GT4 car, isn't it? Which is a quirk.
You know, every time I hop in this dark horse, and I've driven quite a few of them, I'm almost always surprised at how much power it has when I leave the pit lane. Definitely has more power than a GT4 car. You know, we don't have the same aero, so we're quite close on lap time, but the GT4 edges it out just a bit. But like we talked about earlier, a lot of power to the rear wheels. It's a true race car, so that's something you have to manage. You know, you start to lose a little bit of that power down as the race continues to evolve, and you might lose the front tire a little bit. So just managing that, being aware of where you're at in the race. Like, we're 33 minutes in, you know, you're not going to set the fast time of the race right now. So just staying consistent, hitting your marks, focusing forward, and getting home to the end.
Cam Mloud doing a really nice job at the moment managing this. It's 3.2 seconds there or thereabouts. When Sam was talking before, mentioned the gap. So he's a generational racer. Obviously his grandfather, a Bathurst winner in this country in 1987. Mloud name very well known in Australian motorsport. So pausing to just soak up a little of that sound as it makes its way towards Stoner Corner and then down to Miller Corner. We switch back here to the 55 Kiss, and I think that's Fawcett there in the 23, isn't it? So that's a close battle worth watching, and I think a 5-second penalty's been applied there to the entry for Kiss as well. So we'll get some clarity on what the penalty was. Everingham's been able to clear Moffat to the tune. You can see in the background there of about, what are we talking, nearly 4 seconds, I guess, 3 odd seconds. So good work. There you go. 5-second penalty for a false start, they're saying there for the entry. And that will help Fawcett. That will be a position gain there if they stay the way they currently are. So
yeah, it's tough for some of these juniors. So that's one of our junior entrants in KISS. But yesterday it was a 5-second penalty for Josh Anderson for a false start. So the formation start and have something new to some of these drivers, that they're still in a new car trying to work out exactly the right way to get that delivery down.
Yeah, you're definitely looking to get a jump there on the front straight, but also easy to actually jump the start and end up with a penalty, and that's definitely not something you want to carry through the race. One thing I really love about the championship is the separation between the classes. You know, I think this Dark Horse Legends class is going to grow a lot, and I think it's really cool that the older gentlemen can compete for their own championship.
Why did you look at me then? Keep going, I'm only joking. I'm staring at you.
I think you were waiting for the look. But it's really cool that they're able to compete for their own championship, have their own full awards, stand on the podium, right? And the same thing for these younger drivers. You know, if you're 17 years old and you're competing for Aaron Cameron, you're not expected to beat him, right? So having your own race to focus on and getting rewarded for a good result against drivers that are your own age and have similar experience levels, I think is really cool, and it's a special part of the championship that I actually really like.
And as Chris said before, it's incentivized for those drivers of that age too. As a part of the prize pool, there are some great things that they can garner from a learning perspective and also from a prize perspective. So McLeod's lead is now out to 3.7 seconds. We've got just on 4.5 minutes remaining. Sam, we didn't get the chance to revisit the question we asked at the top when you bolted into the commentary box. And
well, I was trying to make the start of the race.
No, I know you were. You did a super job. Which we're grateful for. But just on your own team that you run back in the States too, and that's another element of your career. You're busy, aren't you?
Yeah, quite busy, but I love being at the track. I love being involved in the motorsports world. So, you know, I own and operate Paley Motorsport back in the United States, and we're based out of Sebring, Florida. We field cars in both the IMSA Mustang Challenge and the USAC Mustang Cup. We were actually just racing today at Barber Motorsports Park in the USAC Mustang Cup in support of IndyCar, and David Luasis finished P2 in the Legends class, and Nick Smither finished P4 in the Legends class. So again, having their own championship to compete for, getting to stand on the podium at the end of the race, specifically for David, I think is really cool, and I know he was pumped to get that result. And you know, last week we were at Sebring for the IMSA Mustang Challenge. We were directly supporting 2 cars and indirectly supporting 3 more. So, you know, in the last couple of weeks, I've gone Australia, back to the US, back to Australia to try and make as many events as possible. But I absolutely love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. And, you know, I've learned some tricks of the trade to deal with the jet lag, because that's always the first question I get. I think
fly at the front of the plane. That's the best.
I wish. That's my next step. I need to do that. I've got pretty lucky. Luckily, the flights have been a bit empty to Australia, so on the way here I had a whole road to myself, so I was able to get some good sleep and be energized for this weekend. But I just love this platform so much. It's such a fun car to work on, and, you know, even though this is my 3rd year dealing with this dark horse, I'm learning new things with the car each and every day, and it's that never-ending chase for perfection that, frankly, is really addicting, and it's very fulfilling and meaningful when you get it right.
What a couple of weeks. Sebring, Phillip Island. Don't mind ticking off some good racetracks along the way. That's cool, mate. Really, really cool. Great places. So back we go. 2.5 minutes remaining in this race. Mloud with 3.2 seconds, and he's kind of, Stubbsy, kept it there or thereabouts. This has been a race of smarts. He, at the beginning, made a clear statement of intent. He wanted to win, obviously, off the back of a difficult GT4 race, you know, in the last hour or so before we got going here. And what a play he's made. He has managed this superbly, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, he came in with a fair bit of expectation, didn't he? He was announced only a couple of days ago with the big press release that Cam, as Australia's first Ford Racing development driver, would be a special entrant this weekend as we kicked off this series. So there were a lot of eyes on him, and I think that's why yesterday's performance, he was so frustrated that he wasn't able to put the foot forward that we've seen, and the victories that he had at Le Mans last year, both of those races there, and that's what put him on the stage. So he'll be very happy, I would have thought, with this result today.
Definitely. If Cam says he's going to do something, he's going to go out there and do it. And, you know, I would have put my money on him to win this race before the race even started, just the way he came out of the last corner. So Cam and I actually had a moment quite similar to that in Le Mans, and might have learned a thing or two. But what a start from him, and what a race. What a race. And he's really, you know, established himself as one of Ford's premier drivers in both Australia and in the world. So looks like he's going to bring this home for, frankly, a pretty easy victory after the first couple laps. He's really controlled the entire race.
He really has. In the midst of all the different layers of offering from Ford, there is something that is distinctly Australian, and that is supercars. Obviously, they're off to New Zealand for the next couple of rounds. Do you keep an eye on that? We can, viewers here in Australia on Fox and KO, where we're broadcasting, can watch supercars there. Is that a little something that you'd love to maybe get a steer of at some stage?
I'd love to do it. I hope I get behind the wheel of a supercar very, very soon. I think I watched the rounds at Albert Park 3 or 4 times. You know, I'm actually competing with a lot of supercar drivers here in GT4, and I believe in myself as a driver. I think I could go toe-to-toe with a lot of the guys in the championship. And in terms of entertainment, I don't know if there's more exciting racing in the entire world than supercars, and they sound and look fantastic. So, again, definitely on the bucket list, and definitely a goal of mine in my career.
Well, Sam, you mentioned the bucket list of the Bathurst 12-hour. The voice of the Bathurst 12-hour, Richard Craill, has just entered the commentary box, so we'll make sure that you two can have a bit of a chat, and we'll get some wheeling and dealing and done to make sure you're on the grid next February.
I'll be exchanging business cards straight away, won't they? Right, so we're waiting for our race winner. He's on course, and it's 2.5 seconds now. It's only a minor little loss of tenths of seconds. As we say, he's just hit his marks, executed the entire way. Wasn't necessarily happy with his performance in this class yesterday, and question marked it. He couldn't quite understand why, relative to the Gary Rogers Motorsport entries, he wasn't, you know, up the front with them. He has wheeled this thing today from the moment they were all bunched up coming out of the final corner. We should get the last lap board, we believe, this time by. We're just looking out to make sure that happens. But a great and very, very good performance so far from Cameron Mloud. Weekend overall has been superb for the second place driver in Aaron Cameron, with 2 pole positions. That first ever, that breakthrough race victory for Motorcraft Mustang Cup yesterday. And we should highlight underscore, well done Tyler Everingham at the moment too, holding down 30. If he can bring that home there ahead of James Moffat, great job.
Yeah, it's still pushing on pretty hard here at the moment. What's Cam? We just saw absolutely exploring the limits of the track there at Southern Loop. So he's not backing off, is he, Sam?
He's enjoying this last lap here, and he definitely deserves to enjoy it a little bit. I know he wanted this one bad, and he's gonna get it. So what a first weekend of Mustang Cup here in Australia. I think the championship has lived up to all the expectations. I mean, that finish yesterday, can you get better than that? I don't think you can. So this is the start of a special era here in Australia, and specifically with Ford Racing and the Mustang. I know the brand and the company as a whole is very committed. They offer fantastic customer support, and we're just getting started here at Mustang Cup Australia. I'm really excited to see how the rest of the season pans out.
We're thrilled to have you here in commentary today too, mate. Thank you very much for joining us and offering some insights along the way. Sam Paley, they're awesome. So final corner, he pushes the whole way.
You gotta love it.
You do, don't you? Headed for the checkered flag. Was a tough outing in GT4, but it's sweet success in Mustang Cup. Cameron Mloud does it, greets the checkered flag and wins by just over 2 seconds from Aaron Cameron, waiting for Tyler Everingham to head to the line in the 93. He will grab third here on Sunday. Well done.
Very well done indeed. In fourth place, the red flash of James Moffat. And then it was Anderson who is the next place to cross the line, which means he will take the Dark Horse Juniors title. A little scrap, a last corner foray for these two, wanting to bring home their race. That's Kiss, who's been involved in a great battle as well. He's got the 5-second penalty though, so that's going to hurt and be a factor. That means that at the end of the day, Fawcett will end up in front of him. So great racing side by side to the checkered flag. Well done for Kiss and for Fawcett as well.
Wade Motorsport
replays.
Just trying to understand what's happening there. That's on the run up to Lukey Heights. And just running wide there, Giblin. Yeah. A couple of things to unpack from all that. The dramas for Jimmy Golding, obviously, but it's McLeod's day on Sunday. Aaron Cameron, a weekend to remember in this class, whether it's qualifying or racing. We will recap the results for you in Motorcraft Mustang Cup here. I cannot believe the weather conditions on Sunday compared to Saturday here. McLeod does it from Aaron Cameron. Tyler Everingham rounds out your top three. Then it's Moffat, Anderson. We will see those positions, I think, switch around there between Fawcett and Kiss, with that 5-second penalty being applied to the 55. Giblin running off toward the end there, and then Kasuki inside the top 10. Highlights for you for race 2 of Mustang Cup, and it was a brilliant start by Moffat and almost a three-way fight as they went down to Doohan Corner for the first time. You could see a bit of bodywork flapping there on the car of Aaron Cameron. That was because there was some contact with Cam McLeod as they ventured through the final corner, and before they set sail in this race, what a statement of intent from McLeod in the 92. He made it clear before we went green in this race that he wanted it, and at this point the 92 moved into the lead and he set sail, building a lead of 4 odd seconds approximately. In the end, he controlled it and managed it 2 seconds as he crossed the line.
Yeah, this was a wild moment here for the 95 of Josh Trappert, but did a good job. Some nice recovery skills to keep that one moving and continue his charge. Golding and Cameron coming together. That's at MG. We saw them yesterday, first and second, and they spent plenty of time side by side again today. Miller corner up the inside, Golding, but we did see for him an issue that would see him tumble down the timesheet. So he did complete the race, but it was certainly not to the effect of yesterday.
A couple of others with some question marks, but it meant there were lap competitors for our leaders to come through. No dramas for Cameron McLeod. Takes it out on Sunday. Race 2 winner in Mustang Cup, and he's happy about it too. Let's go to Charlie.
There is so much elation here with this podium, but none other than Tyler Everingham. A welcome return to racing and a return to the podium. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, we had a tough day yesterday and even a tough start of the weekend. You know, I haven't driven a car hard for about a year, so it's pretty cool to come back. It took me a little while, but I feel like I finally found my form again.
Awesome. And these cars look absolutely spectacular to watch. What's it like to drive one?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, it was good wheel-to-wheel racing. You know, we got a few scuff marks, but yeah, that's worth it. That was pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, go. I guess now it's all about the rest of the season for you, and hopefully we get to see you back next round.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Go well. Thank you, Tyler. We thought maybe he would have got a clean sweep. Here he is, the one and only Aaron Cameron. He's still smiling. Cam, got the jump on you, mate, but still a hugely successful weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't win the World Championship like Cam Mcleod with his celebration there, so yeah, shame not to win that, but yeah, good weekend. 2 poles and a race win. Having never driven the car, so good for the GRM boys. It's our longest run on the tyres in the race there, so yeah, pretty awesome, and you never know, might be back next round.
No, you have to say yes. But no, let's quickly, because you were having question marks around how the car would run over that 40 minutes, of course, with the tyres as well. So give us your assessment.
Oh, it was awesome. The tyres lasted great. We'd done the stint we'd done was qualifying, which was 3 laps. So to last however many laps we did there was really good, and the times held consistent. So yeah, credit to the boys for getting the tyre pressures and the setup bang on.
Well, now you've had some time to think about it. How do you spend the 2K that you've clocked up in poles this weekend?
I scratched it, so I think it's gone straight to Barry Rogers' pocket to fix the car.
That's the appropriate way to say beer. Okay, let's chat to our winner. It meant an awful lot. We heard the cheers. Congratulations, one Cameron Mcleod. That must have felt absolutely awesome after the weekend you've had, mate.
Oh, it was. I kind of figured, you know, when would something good happen to me this weekend? But, you know, the first thing that happened was I was driving 2 good Mustangs. So big thanks to, you know, Ford Australia and the driver development team for helping out with that. And, you know, to get the win here against, you know, such high-level drivers is something that I come here for. And I only did it because these guys are doing it, and I wanted to, you know, kind of do my best and see what I could do around them. So it's good to finally pull something out of my ass today and do a good result for the whole Ford crew.
It was really great to see you kind of get the jump on Aaron, and then you just sailed away into the sunset pretty much. So talk to us like your race so far. Give us your assessment on your own performance.
Well, I think Aaron was doing a bit of balking up, you know. I was like, he's definitely faster than that. So all I could do, I kind of figured straight away what he was doing, and you know, the boys didn't make it easy, and you know, as they shouldn't. You know, they have 3 cars against 1, so you know, you do everything you can to try and make it 1, 2, 3. But you know, to have the raw pace of the RM Racing cars Ford Mustang here to just pull away a gap like that is you know, extraordinary. It's definitely just, you know, made it all worthwhile.
Awesome. You made yourself history today, mate, and it was wonderful to see. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.